A lot of landowners I speak with assume the same company that develops the land also builds the homes. Historically, those roles were separate. Land developers focused on turning raw land into buildable lots, while home builders focused on constructing and selling homes. In recent years, those lines have blurred, but in many cases, they're still handled by different entities. Hey, it's Evan Ziener with Metro Land Pro. I help landowners understand the land sale process so they can stay in control and make informed decisions. I'm licensed in Oregon and assist sellers nationwide. In this video, I'm going to break down the difference between land developers and home builders, how those roles were traditionally divided, and why that structure has shifted in recent years. If you find this helpful, feel free to like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Thank you. The traditional split between developers and builders. Historically, land developers and home builders played very different roles. Land developers focused on raw land. Their role was to take land through feasibility, approvals, engineering, and infrastructure so it could become finished buildable lots. Once those lots were ready, home builders would buy them. Builders preferred working with approved buildable lots so that they could focus on construction and sales rather than early stage land work. This separation wasn't accidental. Land development involves long timelines, regulatory uncertainty, and costs that come well before any homes are built or sold. Home builders' businesses are structured around construction and sales, and their cycles are shorter when they're working with buildable lots rather than raw land. For a long time, most home builders intentionally stayed out of raw land development. Why builders historically avoided land development. Builders didn't avoid land development because it couldn't make money. They avoided it because it didn't align with how their businesses were structured. Most home builders are set to put money into construction, sell homes, and then recycle that capital into the next phase. The faster that cycle turns, the more efficient their operation becomes. Land development disrupts that cycle. It can take years to move raw land through the entitlement and development process and turn it into finished buildable lots. During that time, capital is spent on feasibility work, engineering, approvals, and infrastructure. And from a builder's perspective, that money is tied up for years, can't be used elsewhere, and could be impacted by changing costs, regulations, or delays. In land development, buyers have to spend real money early on before they know for sure whether the project will work. If problems show up, that money is already committed and can't be recovered. For builders whose businesses depend on predictable construction schedules and steady home sales, that early stage risk made raw land less attractive. So instead of taking on that role themselves, builders historically relied on land developers to handle those early stages and deliver finished lots that they could build on with more certainty. What changed in recent years? In recent years, that traditional split has started to blur. One of the biggest reasons is land availability. Finished buildable lots have become harder to find, and approval timelines have grown longer and more complex. Builders who rely only on purchasing finished lots often find themselves competing for limited supply or waiting years for projects to come online. But it's not just about having land, it's about timing. Builders don't just need land eventually. They need land that comes online when it fits their construction schedule. Carrying finished lots too early ties up capital. Waiting too long creates gaps in production. By taking on a more active role in development, builders gain more control over sequencing and timing. Another major factor is that home building profits have tightened. Labor volatility, insurance costs, regulatory requirements, interest rate cycles, and longer approval timelines have all increased costs. As those pressures grow, land becomes one of the few areas where builders can still influence the overall economics of a project. Developing land internally can reduce reliance on marked up finished lots and give builders more control over when money is spent, how much is invested up front, and where profit is made in the project. At the same time, there are fewer independent land developers than there used to be. Many retired, consolidated, lost access to favorable capital, or were squeezed out during downturns. That left a gap in the market, and builders stepped in out of necessity. Financing has also changed. In many cases today, projects are easier to fund when the builder controls the land. Lenders and investors tend to prefer simpler arrangements with fewer parties involved rather than deals where land development and home building are split across multiple companies. As a result, many home building companies now have internal land acquisition teams whose job it is to identify and purchase sites early and build long-term land pipelines. In some cases, the builder develops the land in-house. In other cases, they partner with or hire land developers. When you're selling land, you may be talking to a land developer or a home builder, and today those roles often overlap more than they used to. If you want help understanding who's evaluating your property, whether it's a home builder or a land developer, I'd be happy to help. You can reach me at evan@metrolandpro.com or visit www.metrolandpro.com. I'm Evan Ziener with Metro Land Pro, and I help landowners sell smarter and unlock the full value of their land.